I've readjusted the camera, and now you can actually see what I'm talking about on this little touch screen. So this little touch screen is what we call our VMUX system. It is a 12-volt control for the items that you see listed on the little screen right here. So first things first, this is the home screen. You'll notice I have my auxiliary volts. The vehicle's running. The key is in the ignition. The vehicle's running. So I should be getting about 14.5 or 13 or so volts on the auxiliary volts. Now if you're getting anything less than that, let's say it says 12 or 9, the aux system is a 12-volt system. So anything beneath 12 volts is going to be extremely bad, and it means that the charging system's not working properly. The aux DC amp says 14 right now. That's going to vary depending on what you have on the aux DC system, so don't panic about that. But if you turn something on, you turn a set of lights on or a function on, and it spikes dramatically, it could indicate that, and let's say that it spikes dramatically and then that item that you were trying to turn on or off does not work, that could indicate that there was an issue with that item. Now the chassis is actually a 24-volt system. These large vehicles like this, they require a 24-volt system. And as you can see, charging right now, I'm getting 28.8. If you're getting anything below 24 or it's right at 24 and the vehicle is running, it indicates that there's something wrong with the chassis charging system. Now when you're driving down the road, the chassis alternator will charge the auxiliary batteries, so you can have them on right now, no problem. But I'm going to turn the key to the off position and we'll see what happens. So the alternator just kicked off, and you can see the vehicle's not running, and I have all my auxiliary stuff on. I have my lights on right now, and you can notice it was at 14.5. I think it was at 14.6. It's going to start dropping between the two. Same thing goes with the chassis. If I turn on, let's say, the headlights, it's going to beep at me because the key's now on and the headlights are on. And let's turn something else on. But I just turned on the fog lights, the headlights, and you notice it already dropped a couple points. What that means is the batteries are dying. So anytime that you're going to have the auxiliary system on, anytime that you're going to leave your headlights on, of course you have to have something charging the batteries. The key with the chassis is anytime it's not in use, like I mentioned, you can turn off that disconnect in the rear just to prevent battery draw. So when you go to drive away from your site, the chassis batteries are fully charged and ready to go. Alright, so in the power section, if I touch power, you will see it gives me all the same little voltages, but it does give me a couple little more things. It says generator running off, shore power available off, 120 volt high power available. Now if the generator was running, if that little light would be green and it would say on. If shore power, meaning the vehicle is plugged in with the large shore cord available provided, it would say on. And then if it recognized that it actually got the 120 volts that it needed for the power panel behind me, that little light would be green, it would say on as well. Now, if it says that the generator's running and it says that you don't have voltage here, it could indicate that there's been a breaker that has tripped on the generator. And let's say the shore power available says that it's on and it's not providing power to the power panel, or you're not getting that 120 volt power available, it could mean there's an issue as well. Now, if you notice to the right hand side, there is a little button here that says generator start and stop. Now, if I touch that, the first thing that's going to come up is a warning, and it tells you, make sure all AC breakers are in the off position prior to starting the generator. Once the generator has adequate time to warm up, start enabling AC breakers one by one. Now what that means is, behind my head is a breaker panel, a power panel, kind of like what you would see in your basement at your house or somewhere in your house that controls all the fuses, what you call the fuse panel. If you try to start the generator or plug the vehicle and all those breakers are in the off position, what's actually going to happen is the generator will probably stay running, but it will bog down for a second and then start running really nice, but you'll get no power to the power panel. What that indicates is that you probably tripped the breaker on the generator. So key reminder, anytime that you're plugging the vehicle in or starting the generator, make sure these breakers are off, that I'm going to show you as soon as we get out of this, we're done with this little touchscreen portion. If you do not do this, like I said, you're going to decrease the life of the power panel, the generator, the shoreline breakers, all that kind of stuff. So I know that they're off because I just checked them. Push the that you noticed or okay, and then push the generator start stop again. Now this generator does run off the main tank. It will use about 2 gallons per hour when running, and it's just like the engine for the vehicle. It takes a little bit of time for that little glow plug light to go away on the dash. The generator has to do the same thing. It goes through a little warm-up process. Once the generator has determined that it's warmed up, the generator will automatically prime itself and then start running. Once the generator's running, you'll see a little light come on, like I mentioned, generator running, and then you'll also, after a minute or so, you should get this 120 high power available. Should come on as well. Now I'm going to go check a breaker on the generator because it didn't start right away, but in normal circumstances it would start and running right now. Once the generator is running, just like the engine of the vehicle, you should let it warm up for about 10 minutes before trying to drive away. The generator needs a warm-up process and a cool-down process. So when starting the generator, make sure everything is off on the panel, let it run for about 10 minutes, and then you can turn everything on the power panel. When you're shutting everything down, you're going to turn everything off on the power panel, and then you are going to stop the generator after about 10 minutes after you shut everything off. If you start and stop the generator and just immediately turn off a load, you're going to decrease the life of the actual generator. So I'm going to pause right there. I'm going to get the generator actually running, and we're going to go back to the power panel.